All right,
Hey, hey, hey.
we're back. After
What's up, everybody?
2 week hiatus. It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
All
been
right.
it feels longer than 2 weeks, doesn't it?
Yes, when I was changing the Zoom date on the meeting, like holy cow, it's been since March that we've done this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of
okay, yeah,
crazy.
it was. Yeah, that's probably most of my fault, guys. I had to go down to Florida last week.
Yeah, big
For
tournament for the Murph dog, won the big championship.
big tournament. Yeah, my 13-year-old son went down to a international tournament in Florida at this place called I don't know if I tell you this, Bodine,
Champions Gate, right?
Champions Gate. That's right. The only time that we've ever been able to, so it's a resort. Usually, it's like the stay, to play, to pay. They get you coming and going, and
Yeah.
they stick you in like a holodome from the 1990s that is still 20 minutes from the field. So this one was awesome. You could, if your room is situated right, you could see the fields from your hotel room and then just walk right past the lazy river right onto the
Nice.
pitch. And the fields were, I've never played on fields that good ever. They were
Oh,
fantastic.
I can remember one
Yeah.
time going down to, I think we went to Tampa and like walked out to the soccer complex and it was like, oh my gosh, it was like legit fairways to play soccer on. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the right climate. And it's so last year, I don't know if everybody knows, there's that IMG Academy down
Hmm.
in Sarasota where you send your kid. Started out as a tennis academy. I think Agassi and a bunch of
Oh
those
yeah.
guys, Marty Fish, were big guys down there.
Hmm.
Um, and then it's evolved into just about every other sport you can think of. And it's like the premier place, and these fields were better than that. And then when they played there last year, so it was.
Wow.
I walked on there, being a grass guy that I am. I'm like, holy cow! I took many pictures. I took more pictures of the turf than I did of the boys playing soccer for five games.
So, for those of you that don't know, I don't know, Ryan, have we talked about your lawn yet on the podcast?
And vaguely, I
So
think.
when Ryan says he's a grass guy, uh, like Ryan is legitimately going to have Augusta-like turf in his front yard. Um, Maybe not this year, but in the next couple, it's a work in progress. But
It's getting there.
you don't happen to have a picture of your new diagonals on.
Let me email it to myself. So I sent this picture to Bodine yesterday, and today I see a bunch of guys out in the yard with the spray cans. Like, oh my god, what are they doing now? So I went out there and I talked to the guys. They're gonna have to dig 3 holes in my front yard so they can run fiber optic cables.
No way.
I'm like, oh, that's progress. I'm like, we already have fiber optic. We have two other fiber optic people in this neighborhood. We don't need a third. I
So
mean,
last
I'm
year, this was a whole project where Ryan, um, if any of you saw the emails that we sent out, 2 weeks ago about our buddy Brian,
yeah,
who was in a tournament, a March Madness tournament, because Brian's a grass nut.
he's
He's in like medical sales or something, right?
yeah, he
But
doesn't have a real job.
his hobby is, or one of his hobbies is his lawn, and it legitimately looks like Augusta. So he was in a March Madness tournament against. He was the only individual against all of the landscaping companies, and he made
Yeah,
it to the semifinals. So Ryan enlisted his help to help with his front lawn, and had to kill off his whole front lawn, kill the grass, had to buy a fancy, like a legitimate golf course lawnmower, and is now in the process of turning it into basically our short game area. Pretty much, that's what I look at it as.
that's right. It's a real mower. That's the joke. REEL,
Yeah,
real mower.
real mower.
Let me see if I can share my screen here.
Oh, I might have to give you access.
Oh, it's completely idiotic. And you know how this started?
There you go.
Monday, mandatory golf Friday. He and I were just playing. He's like, "Hey, should we do it to your lawn?" It took me about 100 yard stroll. I'm like, yeah, let's just do that.
Yeah, now we're trying to enlist
And
another buddy of ours.
yes, all right. So share. Can you see that?
There it is.
Yeah. So it's not quite there yet, but
It's
it's
coming.
still it's pretty. It's getting pretty legit, I think.
Do you have a picture of Brian's lawn now?
Well, that's just unfair. Let me stop sharing here.
Yeah, we don't need to see your emails.
No, you don't. Let's see here. I sent it to Richard. Yeah. So while I'm looking for this, yeah, what have we missed the last 2 weeks other than
Well, the Masters.
John Rahm being John Rahm?
That was exciting. I always want to have a Masters where there's like 4 or 5 guys competing at the end. So it ends up being a little bit disappointing when there's somebody that's 4 strokes ahead. But at first I thought it was going to be Brooks Koepka that was going to run away with it after his first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely just saw John Rahm continue to push the train forward, and Brooks just kept slipping a little bit. But that weather was ridiculous. In fact, we've got Matt. I know, Matt, you're driving right now, but Matt was down at Augusta doing some security. Matt's a celebrity because Matt was in the Full Swing series. He was if you're watching the Full Swing, the Brooks Koepka episode, Matt was actually the security guard walking right in front of Brooks Koepka in the Full Swing.
And it's because of our talk last year, he was winning it this year, but I don't know what happened. I should have really talked to him again Sunday morning and said, "Hey, look, dude, we're on TV together. We need to make this happen," but it didn't happen.
Were you assigned to him again?
No. So it was pretty cool. So I get assigned directly to 9 and 18 green. And then while I'm there, every player that comes off, we kind of escort them to either 10 or to the clubhouse. The earlier guys that have the worst scores, right? You have to walk them all the way around, basically to 10 tee box, past the putting green, through the gallery and all the people, and then finally back to the clubhouse. So that's like a madness. Because depending on who you're walking with, minus Tiger, it's just you and that golfer. And then after the last group tees off, we get to cut across one's fairway. Yeah, it was wild this year.
Awesome.
How do you get that gig, Matt?
Well, so I'm part of the On-Course Foundation, which is I'm going through a car wash, so hopefully I don't cut out. But I'm
definitely
part of the On-Course Foundation. And it's basically a veteran organization that's wounded veterans, whether it's a mental wound, physical wound, guys that you'll see with prosthetics, whatever. And they assist with job placement in the golf industry, which is awesome. About that is every other event minus the Masters. Damn, it's loud.
I think we're losing him.
Hang on, Matt. Hang on. Of course, we picked this time to call him out, right when he's going through the car wash.
Yeah. Well, see if you can mute him.
Yeah.
Looks like he's in a disco. What kind of car
I know,
wash
right?
is that?
Got the red lights going.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, real quick, kind of a funny story. Matt sent me a message just a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of the On-Course Foundation?" And I said, funny enough, when I was down at the Players Championship, my buddy TJ, who I was down there with, he played in a little 4-man event the Wednesday before the Players Championship, and he was paired up with 2 veterans. And these guys were a big part of the On-Course Foundation, and they play in the Simpson Cup, which is kind of like the Ryder Cup for wounded veterans. Yeah. And I got to meet these guys, John and Sean, and was talking to them about On-Course, and then just got to learn a little bit more about it. And then I get this message from Matt, like, "Hey, have you ever heard of this organization?" And apparently Matt has been very involved with them as well. So Matt, I think maybe you're out of the car wash now. We can probably hear you again. Maybe not.
He looks frozen.
He looks frozen. But just a strange coincidence that I just met these guys. There he is. We can hear you again now.
Yeah. So it's funny. That whole story is funny. But so the whole purpose of On-Course Foundation, I found out, is I'm getting ready to retire from the Army. in my background in the Army now, for the last, I'd say 10 years, I'm a career counselor. So I help transition soldiers to finding new jobs, whatever they want to do. And what's really cool about OnCourse Foundation is they help all these veterans find job placement. And there's so many correlations that you guys have probably seen with other nonprofit veteran golf associations, not just VGA, but suicide reductions. There's so many guys that they have calculated, none of them have committed suicide or done anything like that. So like, there's definitely some really good correlations between golf and the veteran mental health and whatever. So for me, I started looking on the events. Last year was first year. I saw Masters on there and they called me. They were like, this is not golf related. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you're going to do security. We don't know where you're going to work. And you're going to be out there working for a security company. I said, all right, well, a soldier from Fort Bragg, we've done security on Pinehurst many times. So I thought it was the same type of deal. Completely different. You're in full rental cop mode. Augusta National loves hiring this company, Securitas, because of the white shirt, you know, black tie look. And it is the worst, best job I've ever had. I mean, the living conditions are terrible. Augusta, Georgia does not look like Augusta National. So where they put they put you in, they at least pay you all day, but you're out on your feet from, I would say we're on the course by 6 a.m. You don't leave until at least 30 minutes after the last patron. And even then, you might have to set up. So you're pulling at least 13, 14-hour days every day.
Wow.
So it was a really good experience, but I would say all the other events with OnCourse, like we're going to do Oak Hill for PGA Championship this year. They'll do Charles Schwab as well, and PNC Championship I did back in December. And we work the ranges. We'll work, you know, gallery guard, maybe holding the ropes, working the starters. Various events they may, if there's an American flag on the 18th hole or any of them, they'll use a veteran, you know, to pull the pin. In various instances like that, so it doesn't get dropped on the greens. But it's a great organization that I've been a part of. Rumor has it we might get live events too. If that happens, I'm taking off the Army outfit very fast, and I'll get on those because that's worldwide, and they have lots of money.
Yeah, right.
Rumor has it.
Yeah.
But I mean, not to steal the show, I will say I said this to Jeff, and he gives me crap, but I've tried 18 strong probably 4 times until I've actually gone in 100% this last time. And I had terrible back pain golfing. And part of the issues with OnCourse is like they've been putting me with adaptive golf coaches to learn how to golf with the pains in my back that just can't get fixed, as well as multiple TBIs. And through the daily movement and actually following the programming, even though I'm not doing the same get swole shit, I am golfing without pain constantly. And I mean, I can golf 36 holes in a day and still come home pain free. So like everything is working. You know, I'm just not getting that beach body, but I'm getting that John Rahm body. So I'm good with that too. So
there we go.
Hey, he's not exactly the poster boy. If you can,
no, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, every now and then I'll get a message from Matt like, hey, I want a little more buys and tries, or I need some more volume. I need more of this. He's like, but I'm doing this stuff and it's actually really working. I'm playing better golf and I feel better. So I guess that's okay. Like, hey man, you know, you can't do it all, right? But no, right. I appreciate all the messages, brother, and appreciate your service and everything that you guys do. And you know, hopefully we will continue to connect and do some stuff with OnCourse as well. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so Matt said that Nelly Corda was part of that IMG academy.
Yeah,
seemed to work out well for her.
Yeah. One out of the how many tens of thousands that have gone through that place.
Yeah,
well, I wonder what it costs to go there.
$92,000.
Well, it's not cheap. And I can tell you, just go down to Sarasota, Florida, and make sure you have money in your wallet because you might not see them on TV, but all the graduates are playing all the courses in Sarasota, and they are making plenty of money hustling on golf courses. All the IMG grads. Sarah Bay is Nellie's like home track. Her and her sister, which is one of the nicest courses I've ever played in my life. My buddy just happens to be a member there, and it's like an Augusta type feel how they treat you. But it's Florida grass. People live on it, you know. But you see Nellie's bag and all that, and she posts videos of her practicing at IMG all the time, and it's like it's truly a school that just produces golfing greats that end up not leaving Florida and end up working at all of the resorts.
Right.
It's pretty weird.
That's a pretty good living. Yeah, if you see Nelly Corda's name on a bag, don't play her for money.
No. If you see, here's a rule of thumb. If the person you're playing has their name on their bag,
Right.
don't play them for money. Right.
Even better. Except you have a bag that says Adam Long on it. I'll happily play you for.
Yeah, I mean, I
You
could
have to give me a few
pull an Adam Long bag out. I keep giving Hayden shit that I need another bag here with somebody's name on it. Says he's going to send one, but haven't got that yet. I've got a couple of Jim Holtgreave bags here, but yeah, don't play anybody that has their name on their bag.
Right.
Rule of
You
thumb.
should
Get
bring
anything
out
out of
that
today's show.
you should bring out that Jim Holtgreave bag a couple times when you're playing this year.
That'd be great.
To see how many people stop you.
Funny story of that, and then we can kind of get to our real topic. So there's a local PGA teaching professional here by the name of Todd Meyer. Todd's a good friend of mine, and he gave me one of his bags a little while ago. Beautiful, I think it was a tailor-made bag, whatever. Had the PGA professional's crest on it, had Todd Meyer written across it. And so I had it at the gym. My brother-in-law was going to play golf. My brother-in-law was just kind of getting into playing golf, and he got invited to go play at the nicest course here around St. Louis called Boone Valley, which Todd Meyer was the head pro at the time. And Dino's cousin is the president of that club. So kind of a big deal for Dino to get invited to go out and play. Dino says to me, "Hey, I don't have a golf bag. Can I borrow a bag?" And I'm like, "The only bag I have is this Todd Meyer bag." So Dino takes Todd's bag,
Todd's course,
puts blue tape over Todd's name, takes it out to the golf course. Well, as they drop it at the bag drop, the guys in the shop see that it has this PGA professional's crest on it. They're like, "Huh, that's weird. I wonder whose bag that is." They pull it off and they're like, "Todd, this is your freaking bag." He's like, "What?"
Awesome.
So I got a bit of a nasty text message from Todd that afternoon saying, "Dude, what is going on? This guy's got my bag out here." And I'm like, "It's okay," because Todd's he's an Italian fella and he always calls me Paisan. I'm like, "Todd, it's okay. Dino's Italian. He's one of us. Just loan him the bag for the day."
One of us.
And it was all good, but it was just kind of funny that they pull the name off and it's Todd's bag.
That's outstanding. I'd like to see that guy's look on those guys' face. When they do
Oh my
that.
gosh, they did not let Todd live it down either. That's what was funny about it.
Yeah, and if you can wager a guess, a guy who doesn't have a golf bag, that's about how good he is at golf with Dino.
Yes.
So
Right.
he was
Exactly.
way over his head having a tour bag.
Yeah.
But I bet he had fun.
Awesome. All right. Anything else before we dive in here a little bit?
Yeah, let's
Any
jump in.
other
'Cause I know
Hot
we get.
topics?
Oh, we could be here for hours. I know, like, this is one of the topics that we get so many questions about, especially when you like watch a lot of those. The topic being, what do you do during the season?
Mhm.
I know not all of us are like Marina and get to play 8 days a week, but even the rest of us have to kind of sprinkle it in throughout. And you really, people ask like what the PGA guys do, but yeah. So for us mere mortals, Bodine, what are we supposed to do here?
Well, this kind of falls in line with what we were giving Matt trouble about. Really, is like at this point of the year, you have to figure out. When we say this all the time, you have to figure out what the goal really is for you. Is the goal really to help your golf game is the goal for you to get the beach body, is the goal for you to do a little bit of both, because that's going to dictate, what your program looks like, what your food and diet looks like, what kind of activities you're doing, how much time you have to set aside for practicing. So just for me personally, this year, I've kind of made it a point that this year, and I'm going to try to do a good job of documenting this for you guys too. I'm really going to make this summer or this spring into the summer about getting better at golf, like really trying to lower my handicap. Right now I'm at a 12 index. So I'd love to see that drop
great.
into a single digit. And so, we're going to kind of document a little bit of what I'm doing with my coach, Casey. So, I've had a couple lessons with Casey. I've got a couple things that I'm already doing and changing up my program. And so, so with the intention of going into the season, knowing, okay, I'm not looking to gain a bunch of muscle mass. I'm not looking to get super lean and shredded and, beach season ready. Obviously want to maintain a lot of those things and still, look presentable at the beach and things like that.
Right.
But the intention is more going to be around moving well, making sure that the body feels good, doesn't hurt, is able to swing a golf club well, and really increasing some swing speed. But then again, just increasing some of my power and practicing, getting out and getting to the range more, getting out to play more, getting to go out and putt and chip a little bit. And so I really feel like what has sparked this, obviously we've been doing this for a long time. I've been in the golf world for a long time. We have all these resources available, but funny thing is, now that my son is really starting to play golf, and you guys are probably, anybody that following me on social media has started to see, I've been posting a little bit about this lately, a little tongue in cheek, but it's serious too. And I think that many of us go through this. If you have a son, a daughter, a nephew, Ryan and I, we have a bunch of nephews and cousins and stuff that are younger than us. And they're all a bunch of little punks that we will never let them beat us at anything. Right. So that's kind of the motivation, is now that Sam's getting to play a lot of golf, he's on the freshman golf team. He's obviously going to get better. He's going to get better than me. It's just a matter of time. He's going to hit the ball further than me. But it's really sparked this motivation to get as good as I can and really stave him off for as long as possible. Right. So what's fun is, and I even saw Casey commented on one of my posts, and he said something along the lines of like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, knowing that I'm the coach for both of you, because Sam's also taking lessons from Casey. But I said, what's great about it is, obviously my son, I want him to do as well as possible, right? Like I'm always rooting for him and always will be. And ultimately, just like the day that we found out that he's finally taller than me, then it's like, okay, you finally did it. Now just keep growing, right? But I didn't want to give that up yet. So that happened already. So now it's like, I want him to become the best golfer and enjoy the game as much as he possibly can. And I'm going to do everything I can to give him whatever resource I have available to help him do that. But at the same time, that's only going to push me to work a little bit harder, to put in a little extra time for he and I to go and spend some time working on this together. And so I think that that's really going to be a cool journey for both of us to have. And it's healthy to have that competition, right? Like it's healthy to be able to push him and him push me and him give me trouble and me give him trouble. But at the same time, all of us working on getting better. So with that being said, when you're looking to put together a workout, or really the staples of a program are going to be, making sure that you're moving well. We talk about that all the time. So doing our daily mobility stuff, obviously the EFDs is really where it all starts, right? So just like Matt said, making sure that you're doing those things consistently to keep your joints moving. Make sure that everything's moving well, because if they're not, then that's when compensations come in. That's when you start moving a little differently. That's when different areas of the body, like your back, start to feel the stress, the discomfort, because it's taking up a lot of the extra heavy lifting. So starting out with moving well. But then when I'm looking at, what does the actual workout session, the training session look like? So let's say you're going to do 3 days a week, 4 days a week even. So right now I've got myself on a 4-day-a-week program, but it's not going to be so much of the strength training like it typically has been. I'm going to start out really the whole session is going to start out with getting moving and then kind of getting the muscles awake and alert. So if I were to break it into different components, I'm going to start with just like some mobility stuff. So aside from the EFDs, I'll do just a couple things to just kind of get moving. So I've even got my program here right in front of me. So I'll start out, on the ground, doing some 90-90s, maybe even doing some hip circles or something like that. And then doing like the little like half frog move, or, just anything to get the hips opened up, the inner thighs stretched out, working on the hips rotating a little bit, doing some things to get the thoracic spine moving. And then I'm going to go into, all right, now that those are moving a little bit, now let's create a little resistance or a little stability kind of stuff. So, I'm going to do even some things just to get the glutes activated, the core activated. So we talk about, if you guys have been in our warm-up series that's on the app, priming, doing some sort of resistance bands. So some pushes and pulls with the bands, maybe even some pull aparts, get the shoulders awake and alert, some bridges, some, body weight squats or deadlifts, anything to then just kind of get the muscles to turn on a little bit. Could be some core activation drills. And then as golfers, what we are always striving for is moving fast, right? And this is a piece that is often overlooked when you think about going in the gym, lifting weights and whatever. But if you aren't throwing something into your program, or at least doing something on a regular basis where you're trying to move a little faster, you're never going to get faster, right? So
Right.
simplest thing is, like we talked to Chris Finn, is a couple days a week, just swinging your driver fast, faster than normal, trying to do that. But in a workout setting or a training setting, I'm going to start throwing in some things like some little jumps or plyometrics or medicine ball throws. So the layout that I have is do a little bit of mobility stuff, do some
Yep.
stability or activation kind of stuff. And then I'm going to throw in kind of some power related stuff. And the way I like to do it is do some sort of a medicine ball throw and do some sort of a jump. So could be like a lateral jumping kind of a thing, like lateral bounding. Could be some, like broad jumps, could be some small box jumps, could be a higher box jump, those type of things. And then some sort of medicine ball throws, could be a medicine ball slam, or like a side toss, or a shot put kind of a throw. Any of those things where you're moving with intent to go fast is going to be really, really important. And you have to do this stuff before you get all worn down. So I don't want you doing this at the end of a workout. At the end of your workout, you're typically tired, your body's moving slower, you're fatigued. You can't move faster when you're already tired. So you have to do this when your body's awake and loose, but not fatigued. And that's why we're going to put that in kind of right after our mobility and stability things, or mobility and activation, whatever you want to call that. And then, because I'm a big believer that you still need to maintain your strength, or even try to build a little bit of strength throughout the season, then I'll put in a couple strength exercises. And so that could be, 5 sets of 5, where we're not going super heavy on the volume, we're not going with high reps. We're going to go 5 reps, 5 sets, but this allows you to move some heavier weight, but it's not causing a ton of repetitions and a ton of volume. So it's not going to tax you nearly as much as if you had a lot more volume, but it's still allowing you to lift some heavier weight. That way your muscles stay strong. And the way that I would break this up is do an upper body and a lower body strength exercise there. And if you're doing several workouts a week, you can break them up into, one day I'm going to do more of a heavy push. Next day I'm going to do more of a heavy pull. So, one day I might do a heavy dumbbell press, or even a bench press, or something like that. And then the next day I might do like some pull-ups, or I might do like a heavy row or lat pull down or single arm row or something along those lines. So those are split up onto different days. So all of these individual training days, I'm going to look at as more of a total body day in this
Right.
scenario.
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So to kind of visualize the thing, if you had a pie chart, what percent would be, okay, I want you to do X percent of mobility movements, X percent of activate, X percent of strength for each one of those total body movement or total body workouts?
So the way I have it broken down is I'm only doing, for the mobility and stability stuff, I'm only doing 1, maybe 2 sets of that, just 5 to 10 repetitions. Those 2 things should take 10 minutes total. You know, think of it as kind of a little bit more of a detailed warm up. You know, it's a little bit more of just kind of getting prepared for your training session. So those 2 aren't going to take very long. Again, I want this training session to take around 45 minutes at the most. If you're taking a little longer, an hour.
Right.
So that's going to take, you know, maybe 10 minutes or so. Then those 2 power drills, I'm going to do like 3 sets of 5 reps, and then take maybe a minute in between each of those sets, 30 seconds to a minute in between each of those sets. So again, let's say that takes another 10 minutes. And then for the strength, we're going to do 5 sets of 5, and you're going to do an upper body and a lower body. And so, again, that's not going to take too long to do. You're going to take about 60 seconds in between each of those. And then after that is when I do what I like to kind of call a little bit of the accessory kind of drills, maybe some shoulders, you know, upper back exercises, some core stuff, some rotation stuff. That's when we're going to kind of mix those things in. So over the course of the full week, we're doing all those things that we always talk about: the push, the pull, the squat, the hinge, the rotate, all of those.
Right.
But it's spread out a little bit more, just because you're doing so many different areas of the body throughout one workout. So the last set that I have is typically going to be 2, maybe 3 exercises. One's going to be a core exercise. One might be a rotator cuff. One might be some sort of a rotational exercise or something along those lines, where it's a little bit more, there's typically some resistance to it, but it has a little bit more of a movement feel to it. So we might be working on a little bit of rotation, but there might be some sort of balance involved in it. It might be some sort of a cable chop or cable exercise or something along those lines. So it's not going to be a heavy type of exercise. It's going to be something that requires maybe a little bit more coordination, might be a little bit more specific or isolated movements, or a little bit of rotational or core kind of an exercise. That makes sense.
It does. If only someone had built out this program, maybe 18 strong membership. Okay, yeah, there's a lot going on there, because we've got the 5 things that we always talk about. You know, the push pull, hinge, squat, rotate. That all fits into the mobility, the power, the strength, and then accessory stuff. So yeah, if you multiply all those together, there's about a billion different ways you could, not a billion, but a lot of different ways you can map that out.
Yeah, and there's so many different things that you can put in there too, right? So many different exercises, and that's where you know, when you know a little bit about your own strengths or weaknesses, you're able to adjust those a little bit. Now, I understand that, you know, you guys on this call and everybody in the 18 strong community, that's what they look to us to do, right? Is to put these pieces together. So maybe over the next couple of days, or maybe we'll do this next week, is we could kind of break this down a little bit more in an email, or in a kind of an email series. And I mean, I could even put together what I could even put in there what my program is, if people would be interested in seeing what that looks like.
I'm curious.
Just kind of put that in there. And now everybody's not going to understand exactly what all the different exercises are. So, because we don't have videos for all of these things, but at least it gives you an idea of how to break, or what this kind of looks like, and ways that you can kind of implement. And then really we could look at maybe creating something a little bit more along these lines for a program that we put out in the future.
Yeah. So how many days a week will you do this?
So I'm scheduled to do this 4 times. But because they are total bodies, I'm not holding myself strictly to doing them 4 times a week. So depending on the schedule in here, things are kind of crazy right now. So I'm going to get at least 3 of these in a week. And then if I can get the 4th one, I'll get the 4th one in. But again, the intention right now is also to work on the golf game. So if there's a day
Right.
where maybe I can sneak out to the driving range instead of getting a training session in, I might opt to do that. So I'll get at least 3 of these in a week. But I really do want to get out to at least hit some balls, or maybe even do some work in the pit where I'm doing some of the stuff that Casey has me doing. And so sometimes that's going to take more time than I have allotted to do one of these training sessions. So I'll opt to do that.
Okay. And you're not going to supplement this with any like just strength training days. These are your workouts for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah. I mean, there might be days where maybe I do for the fourth day. You and I were just talking about how, sometimes when you're in a rush, it just turns into gun day, because
Do arms day.
you don't have a lot of time. So it's like, let's just go do a couple of things, right, Matt? I see Matt. So I'm not saying that I won't be doing any of that kind of stuff or doing a couple things that are different, but I will definitely get 3 of these in per week. And then could turn out that a 4th day just is a little bit of a mixed bag of some different stuff if I have some time, or, some days I have to just do some stuff at home. So that definitely looks different because I don't have the same kind of equipment. And all
Yeah.
that.
It's just, I'm looking like everybody else that I don't work in a gym. So it's like Jeff has all this, it's right there. So yeah, that's good to know, which this leads perfectly into Marina. I saw your question. So Marina had a question before the meeting. So right on cue, what I just said earlier about Marina. So for the last 15 days, I have played golf 11 times, of course, and 7 of them have been competitions. Would you suggest that I should try to do my strength training before or after a round? So then in parentheses, if I have energy, as the weather has been extremely windy, cold, and challenging, or maybe wait for a day off from golf.
Yeah, I would say if you're playing 11 times in 15 days, the biggest thing is probably going to be, more importantly, is going to be some recovery stuff and just maybe doing some movement stuff after your rounds of golf. So just to make sure that your body stays healthy, you're able to move well the next day. And you might squeeze in a day or two in that 15, maybe in a week stretch, maybe squeeze in a day of where you do a little bit of resistance training, but probably you're going to have to let your body dictate that. I would say if you are doing it, depends on what time you're teeing off. If you're teeing off very early, teeing off later in the day, just kind of play around with that a little bit. I don't have any problem with people working out the same day that they do play, but you have to also consider what's the context of the rest of that week, or in your case, 2 weeks, right? So if you have 11 competitive days or close to 11 competitive days, that's a lot. So you just need to make sure that your body is working. So that's where I would say, those mobility and activation kind of exercises are going to be really good for you, because they're not going to tax your body a whole lot. It's not going to be breaking down the muscles. It's going to make sure that things are moving. And in the course of 2 weeks, it's not like you're going to lose a lot of muscle mass or anything like that. So I would wait till you have a little downtime to then get in and do some strength training. But don't, you gotta listen to your body. Don't try to kill yourself. Your golf is the most important thing right now, right? So take it as it comes, and just let your body dictate what you do.
Yeah. So this is not a muscle building season right now. This is
No.
like keep pushing forward, just not nearly as quickly as or aggressively as you would.
Yeah, this is going to be more, maintenance season as far as your strength is concerned. Still I would maybe not in a course of 11 competitive days and 15 days straight. You don't want to do a lot of speed training or anything like that in there. But, over the course of the season, I would definitely say the most important things are going to be moving well, making sure you're recovering, You're going to want to keep doing some speed related stuff once, twice a week. Don't overdo that. And then as far as strength training, once or twice a week is going to be good to help maintain that stuff. But I equate this to back in the days when we had a lot of hockey players coming through the gym, and they would build a lot of muscle. They'd build a ton of strength through the summertime. And then when they reported back to their team, basically it was time to start skating. They'd still do some workouts when they could, right? But they're going to
Right.
start skating and playing for the next however many months, and they're going to come back. They're going to be 15 pounds lighter because they lost a ton of muscle mass, but that's just the nature of the game. Now, most of us aren't playing super competitive golf all the time, 4 days a week, like the pros do, and practicing and doing all that. So we have a little bit more leeway there. But then again, most of us have jobs and kids and family and other obligations too. So you have to balance that out and just figure out what's right for your schedule. But right now, think of it as maintenance, trying to maintain your strength, make sure that you're moving really well. So doing the EFDs and doing some of the mobility stuff, and just, working on some things that are activating the right muscles, working on your core, keep the areas that are prone to get hurt, keep those areas strong. So your shoulders, your posture, the hips, just keep those things strong and moving. And then you can work on the other stuff when the off season comes around, as far as building up strength and muscle mass again.
Right, but is it fair to say that your mobility is going to continue to get better, since that's kind of more the emphasis on your workouts now?
It should, or, we're always working on our mobility, right? Our
Right.
mobility is really always fighting our other daily bad habits, the way I look at it. So
As we're sitting at a desk right now.
yeah, we do a lot of things that are working against our mobility. So maintaining that daily activity, the consistency of it, is really kind of just fighting off this ever constant battle of poor postures and other stresses on our body. So yes, it's going to get better, but you also have to realize that it takes a lot of work to continue to get better. And if there's certain spots that you're working on that are troublesome, you have to put that time and effort into those. Everything else is really just kind of fighting off Father Time.
Right. So if let's assume you have and this is not a necessarily plug for the 18 Strong app, but which program or combination of programs would be kind of the best for this? The way this conversation is going, it feels like we should have a kind of an in-season specific program. So obviously the EFDs are always on your calendar, so that's number one. Is there like another one and there may not be that you
Well,
would
I would say
suggest?
programs as is, the either the Activate or the Golf Body Blueprint are both very good for this. What they are kind of missing a little bit is that little power section.
Okay.
So we've got in those, we have the warm-ups, which kind of do a little bit of exactly what I was talking about. They're kind of intermixed. I broke these up just to have it a little bit more straightforward as to what it looked like. But
Right.
those are kind of intermixed with the active warm-ups that we have in there. And then we've got the strength training portion, but those don't have as heavy of lifts.
Right.
They don't have the 5 sets of 5, but those are a good mix. So you can't go wrong with those programs. What I would say is the Golf Body Blueprint does have the overspeed training sessions,
Yep.
but the little power piece in the session or the program that I'm talking about for today's call is different than that. That it's, the little plyometrics, little medicine ball throws, those kind of things. We didn't put those in there early on because we just don't know what kind of equipment people have. So we wanted to
Right.
give a very generalized piece. But know that even with one of those programs, if you did the warm up as is, then you threw in a little kind of plyometric or jumping or something like that, even one of those types of exercises, you don't have to do both. Throw in something like that, just where you're moving fast. Do something where you're moving fast for about 5 reps. Do that, maybe 3 sets. Add that one piece in, and then follow the Activate or the Golf Body Blueprint as is. You're going to be in good shape there. There's just some semantics that, what we're talking about today is a little bit different.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd say the Golf Body Blueprint or the Activate program. I don't remember if the Activate program, or no, the Golf Body Blueprint, we did put in like a high intensity session in there too. So like
Yep.
some sprints and stuff. So that gets a little bit of sprinting, but that's different than this little power piece. So it's the one little key ingredient that we're missing in there.
Yeah, and it really doesn't matter like what exercise you're doing for the speed piece. It's just more to get and you explained this to me, like the nervous system used to it, or like
Well,
is it better if I do sprints versus some other exercise, or like
well, so sprints on a rower, sprints on a bike, that's going to be a
jumps, right?
little bit more like energy system kind of stuff. Yes, it's getting your body moving fast. So anytime we're getting our body moving fast, that's going to help with just our general speed of the ability for our body to move quickly. Now, when you throw in like some medicine ball throws, some jumps, what you're doing is you're also now creating a little bit more different athletic movements. So now you're taking that same concept of moving really fast, and now you're applying it in different directions. So now you have a little bit more adaptability for the way your body moves in general. So we're taking that speed and now we're doing it in all these different directions. Really, the more proficient you are at moving in all kinds of directions with efficiency and speed, the better off you're going to be. So, like if you were to add a little power piece into one of those programs, and let's say you do have a medicine ball, I would say if you're doing the 3 workouts a week, do 3 different kinds of medicine ball throws. So don't just do the same one every single day.
Right.
It's okay to do that, but you're going to get a little bit more out of doing, maybe one's an overhead slam. Maybe one is what we call the windmill, where you kind of do an overhead windmill kind of slam. And then maybe one is like where you're doing almost like a one-arm chest pass where you're throwing into a wall. So those 3 different moves are creating speed in 3 different directions, or 3 different, types of movement. And so that's going to help. Those are all medicine ball drills, right? Now, if you then go and do some sort of a jumping, say just like a lateral hop, you're going from one foot to the other foot, just sideways. Doesn't have to be huge. Get your balance and get the feeling right. But now you're teaching your body to move laterally using your lower body to create speed. And that's obviously super important, being able to use your lower body to do that. Then you could do like a box jump going forward. You could do a box jump where you're standing this way and then you're jumping and turning sideways. So that's creating a little rotation with your lower body speed and power. So the more variety you can have in those and the more proficient you get at all of those, the better your body's going to be at creating speed in different directions.
Gotcha. It's everybody chime in. I don't want to.
Yeah, if any of you guys have questions, by all means,
manipulate the whole thing. But yeah,
these are good questions, Ryan.
Every now and again, I'm a little worried about our boy Matt. He's certainly driving, but he keeps chatting. So what are our terms and conditions here? If he gets in a car accident, we're not liable, right?
I was in traffic. I'm good now.
Okay. Yeah.
No, but if I could, like, I think the monthly programming, right? It's changing, but as it changes every month, I think like for somebody that came from strictly strength training, and prior to that, like, so my background was I'm CrossFit level 2, I'm Olympic barbell certified, I've gone through multiple certifications and coaching opportunities, and realistically, I just kept hurting myself, especially in that mindset. Olympic lifting is just a brutal sport sometimes. And, I had to figure out my goal. And, Jeff knows I follow a lot of First Form stuff. And one of the big things that they promote is like, what are your goals? And I kept thinking like, oh man, I just want to be beach body ready at all times. But the reality was like, I want to golf forever without pain. Like that's really my goal. And once I realized that, I've actually done a lot, and especially with physical therapy because of my back, the current programming with the 2 mobility days on Tuesday and Thursday, I mean, they sometimes break me off when I just go slow, right? And really work on that, work on tightening the core, and then I'm supplementing with steady state cardio. And my golf coach has me working literally with speed, trying to make the same sound with my driver going back as forward. Can I whoosh it the same way to build that speed? So it's being able to incorporate those types of things. Whereas the programming, when we're doing, you know, the one arm press and it's speed out and then come back slow. I mean, you can incorporate that power and that speed in the current programming I think that you guys have. You know, where I'm a baby is like I want more because I don't want to program myself. You know, like I want Jeff to tell me what to do and I'll go do it. But the reality is like I think from a background of I golf every single, you know, Saturday and Sunday, whether it's walking or riding with friends. The tournaments I play in don't let me ride or don't let me walk. So like I have to get the steady state cardio in throughout the week. I try to have a golf club in my hand for 30 minutes every day. And I said that at the beginning of the year, you know, when we were talking about Forged, it's like, that's my goal, whether it's usually speed training. But the one thing I love the most, and I'll say is your programming can be done literally with some dumbbells. And if you have access to a weight rack, you know, a machine rack, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have to deal with Planet Fitness. I don't have to deal with LA Fitness and crowds. And I think that was getting in my head is like, I'm not going to a big gym anymore. I can use my apartment, little gym complex, but it has everything I need. And I can still supplement. We talked about pull-ups. If I want to do Arm Farm Friday, right? Like, but now that the season's in
farm, I like that.
But you know, now that the season's in full swing, for me, I want to stay mobile and I want to build on that speed. And so
for sure.
I reduce maybe some rest periods so I can actually build up a little bit of intensity through it, but following the tempos and really understanding like what each movement is doing, because those muscle groups are part of that golf swing, you know?
Yeah.
That's huge for me.
Yeah, that kind of begs the question, Jeff, is like, why is it important to go in all different directions, whether it's in general or on the golf course? Like on the golf course, I can probably guess, but you know, I'm always like comparing the golf swing to the baseball swing. Baseball swing is always on a flat piece of ground, so it's a little bit different than that. But yeah, so we always talk about this. You always talk about this about having the ability to go in all different directions. So as just like a human walking around the world, why is that important to me?
Well, I mean, I think it all comes back to balance, right? You know, anytime you have too much in any direction of anything, you end up risking some injury. You end up risking, you know, hurting yourself or creating some sort of biases in your body. Now, I mean, I would say that as a golfer trying to gain speed, you're going to be better off doing more swings and working on some speed training in a swinging fashion, you know. So that's where the super speed clubs, the stack system, you guys are going to see me doing some things with it's called Mach 3 with like ropes and some of these different apparatuses. And so it's important to work on building that speed in those movement patterns too. But just creating more athleticism in the body is going to help really kind of help your body calibrate just different scenarios. You know, if you're looking specifically at golf, look at all the different positions when you're watching the Masters, and we don't get, and Matt can probably attest to this, we don't get nearly the feel of how crazy hilly that place is. Right. But I even saw, you know, on some of those shots, when those guys are on the 13th hole and they hit their drive and they're down the left-hand side of that fairway, kind of near the creek, and they're debating whether to go for the green in 2 or whether they're going to lay up. I mean, you could see some of those guys, the ball was almost like at their knee height.
Right.
And here they are trying to hit a 230-yard shot standing below the ball. So your body needs to be able to adapt and create force in all these different angles. Now it's always relatively the same movement, but the more that you can be proficient at adapting in any of those different directions that we were talking about with all those different drills, and you can generate power from your body, with all these different movements, the more capable you're going to be able to replicate that power when you're in a situation like that, or when, you know, when the ball's way below your feet, or you have some sort of a crazy lie or something like that. So I would say that, you know, for the most part, other sports, it's going to matter even more. You know, if you're a football player, if you're a soccer player, being able to adapt and react is more important for those players.
Yeah.
But even as a golfer, you know, you try to be as athletic as possible. And part of that is being proficient at creating speed and power from whatever position you're in.
Gotcha. Did you happen to see that Sam Bennett, the picture of his
Oh,
swing?
yeah.
It looks,
You sent that
I don't know if
article
you're looking at,
over.
oh my gosh, it looks painful.
Oh my gosh. So first thing I said when I saw him swing a few times, and I remember watching him in the US Amateur, and in the US Amateur, I remember thinking he even had like a more over the top move, and then
For
it was like
sure.
it was crazy. But I looked at him and I was like, man, he has kind of a Joaquin Neiman type of a swing. And then in that article, they compared him to Joaquin Neiman, but he looks
Mhm.
like he's even more flexed over than him. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with him. I mean, we just saw like a Will Zalatoris. You know, here's a guy who super bendy and flexible, and now he's going through a microdiscectomy with his back. He's had his issues. I can definitely relate and have empathy for all these guys with having back pain. But, you know, you look at a kid like Sam Bennett, and, you know, right now he's what, 21, 22 years old. His body's going to
I
be
think
super
he's
resilient
older.
right now. Is he older than that?
I
He's a
think he
fifth
might be
year
like,
senior, so maybe
He's
23,
23. He's
Yeah.
23. So,
he's pretty
you
funny,
know,
by the way.
his body is pretty resilient right now. Same with a Joaquin Neiman, but it'll be interesting to see how it holds up over the next couple of years, if they'll be able to maintain that. Or, you know, Sam Bennett says he's never taken a golf lesson and doesn't plan to have a
I
swing
love it.
coach, which
Right.
I think is a pretty bold thing to say as a
It looks
23-year-old. You haven't
crazy.
played as a professional yet, and to say that you're not going to go get a swing coach eventually when it's going to be, you know, millions of dollars on the line is a pretty bold statement, but we shall see. But yeah, I mean, that goes to show why you need your body strong in all positions, all capabilities.
Yeah, he was kind of the poster child when we started talking about this. So the Will Zalatoris thing, what does that mean? Like micro whatever procedure he had. Is it like a
Microdiscectomy,
lower
they
back
go
thing,
in, they
or-
go in and they basically kind of clean up the disc a little bit. So maybe he had some fraying of the disc, and they might even do like a little roto rooter where they're taking a little bit of bone out of that area. So they are opening up space in the lamina, or the little area where the nerves kind of go out from the vertebrae. So they go in, they'll clean up any issues that are on the disc. So it's not like it doesn't, he's not going and having a fusion or anything like that. He maybe had a herniated disc where they go in, they kind of basically roto rooter and suck out some of the any debris that's in there from that disc, and then
Gotcha.
maybe shave a little bit of the bone off if there's any kind of like stenosis, which is like the closing down of the area that allows the nerves to go through and where the disc is. So it's not a, I mean, it's a minor surgery, minor back surgery.
Minor back surgery, right?
But it's like the least invasive of back surgeries. So hopefully, you know, anytime you go in and have some sort of surgery, it's inducing trauma as well. So it's always got to be the last resort, because it's going to cause some scar tissue. It's going to cause some other issues. So hopefully this is not a prolonged thing. I mean, we know his fitness guy, Damon Goddard. I'm not sure if he has a chiro or PT on his, I assume he would. But, you know, I mean, he's working with some of the best in the industry, and sometimes it's not something that you can totally prevent based on the anatomy and the physiology, but you do everything that you can to prevent it from happening, or make sure that now that he's got that taken care of, that they do everything possible for him to take off the stress in his back. I know he went out to TPI and they were working on some things in his swing where they found some things that were causing some extra stress on his back, and they were working on fixing those. So we'll just have to see what happens, and you know, hopefully all is well from here on out.
Yeah, he's definitely in good hands down there. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay, cool. So we are at 3:01. Yeah, good call. Good to be back, man.
Yeah, it was. I know I said this a few weeks ago, but we definitely are going to be. I'm definitely scheduling a lot more podcasts, which is a good thing, but that's also going to infringe on some of these times because this is kind of the afternoon that I have capabilities of scheduling podcasts. So it's going to be kind of a week to week kind of thing. So keep your eyes on the emails as far as whether we are or not having a call, because I do have some guests coming up scheduled, and means more podcasts, but maybe less crew and A calls. So
We'll get our money's worth when we do them.
yeah, just throwing that out there.
All
right, guys.
everybody.
Great seeing everybody's face again. And we will see you guys very soon.
Catch you soon.
Right.